Hi, everybody. This is All Things Aging podcast, finally, with Sarah and Danielle. We are so excited to be starting this finally. It took us a little bit. We had a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I would say maybe just a really big struggle because, long story short, my laptop that had all of our files on it decided to take a you-know-what, and then I had to go to Mexico shortly after. So our apologies.
Yeah, so this is our episode 1. We've put a lot of time in this, and we're super excited about it. And we hope to have, all of our partners, friends, everybody in the industry kind of tune in and help support us. So our first episode is about us, Sarah and Danielle, and kind of who we are and
what inspired us, our backgrounds.
Yep. We're from Assistant Living Locators. We both own a territory. So I'll let Sarah jump in first.
Sure. So one thing I wanted to kind of chat, well, as long as I have everyone's attention, of course, since you're tuning in to our podcast, what really inspired me, and maybe speaking for Danielle as well, is just noticing when we're talking to families or even people that we're partnering with in the field, how sometimes people don't realize that the amount of help that's out there or what options to them are available. So we're really looking to bring that to the forefront to everyone so that families listening to this show are like, oh gosh, I didn't even know that existed, and to help partner, other people together as well so that we're able to, really help people in this industry finally figure out like, oh, that's the missing piece. That's who I should reach out to because there really is so much. And certainly, what would you say in the last, I know Danielle's been doing this a little bit longer than I have, but for the last year and a half, I feel like every day I'm learning something new.
Right? I say that even to some of my families, like
right.
I'm always learning something new and what we can do and, what resources are out there and everything. Yeah.
And not only that, but, Danielle and I, before we pressed record on this podcast, one of the things that I was talking about earlier too is, on that note, how people just don't know that those things exist. And then, getting people to make those connections because, to my point, sorry, in a very long-winded fashion, that, some people don't realize that they need an elder law attorney or that they need an estate planner, or I just had a conversation recently yesterday, for instance, with someone that was like just getting started into selling their parents' home. And they're like, well, we're going to put it in a trust now. Which, in another podcast, we'll get into a little deeper on those things. But it's like, well, that's when it's too late. Too.
Yeah. There's just so many different scenarios that we go through. And for me, I think what is going to be really nice about this podcast is simply who we're going to be inviting in, really get to learn more about the industry. We have assisted living, home care, senior moving, waivers, all of that stuff. So we're trying to just kind of go over everything, partner up with people is super important to us. We're fairly new, just a couple years into it, but we're both passionate and,
we care about our clients.
Yep. We care about our clients and we started this for a reason. So we're super excited just to kind of bring this out. And again, it's going to be learning new things every day.
Including us on this podcast.
Including this. And I don't know if some of you may know this, but I don't like speaking in public. I do not like speaking on camera.
You're doing great.
So, okay, thanks. So this is kind of, a big step for me. But I can first off tell you about my background. So I started Assistant Living Locators in April 2023. So it is coming up on 2 years, which is super exciting. And I did this because, again, I was in the field. I've been in the field for 25 years. I've done senior living, group home, care homes, home care. I mean, you name it, I've done it. I was a nurse years ago as well. So I kind of just started this and I thought there was a need. And like Sarah kind of talked about a little bit earlier, that we didn't even know how big of a need it was until we started this. It's great for me having my own small business. I have a family, and so it gives me a nice balance, and it's very rewarding. Sometimes in the healthcare field, I feel it gets a little crazy, and we have some really down days or with the staffing and things like that. And that's why I just wanted to do something different. I feel in the past couple of years, I've met so many good people. I've met so many families, helped so many families. And, after doing what I guess I can say I do best, I feel so good about it. So that's kind of where I got started. I service the Bloomington area, Rochester area, Metro and Rochester, Austin, Red Wing. It's a pretty big territory.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah. So yeah, that's me.
Well, kind of pivoting off of Danielle, my background in healthcare isn't quite as long or extensive, but I would say like the last 10 years being in hospice and covering the hospitals. That is really, to me, what I saw as a parallel to something like this as well. But being in all the hospitals in both Minnesota and then Wisconsin and talking to people about hospice and really doing those assessments, getting to learn like what families need, putting people through the process, easing their mind, that really does correlate every day into what we do. Kind of going off of what Danelle said too, it's one of those things that it's nice to be able to have somewhat of a balance with it being our own business. And, I do have a family at home as well. All my children are quite a bit older, but, we have...
You have to have that balance.
Yeah. And it's like between my husband, Matt, and I, we have, 5 kids all together. And all of our kids are at the youngest, 18, and my oldest, at almost 26. So it's like sometimes I have to pinch myself, and sometimes I have to admit, like, I kind of feel like a grandma.
That's okay.
It is. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes, Danielle helps me, and here we are. But yeah, our backgrounds and us meeting also in the field is really what brought us together, because not a lot of people know or realize that Danelle and I actually met as competitors. And I feel like not a lot of people know either. Like, you really need to use that kind of stuff to your advantage.
You have to leverage that partnership.
Yes, you do. Because some people, they might ask you like, hey, what's your pricing? What are you doing? And they might shut you out.
Right.
Or something like that. And to me,
or the staffing.
Yeah. Or the staffing.
The staffing is huge in home care.
Huge.
It's a big problem. I heard it's getting better, but still, that kind of... And it was during COVID time. So 24-hour cases. Hey, we can't do this. Can you? You're still working with those referral sources. They're calling you. They need the help. So yeah, that was definitely something we did very well.
Well, and not only that too, but even with starting this business, not that Danelle are in on the same business together under the same entity, but we do the same business in neighboring territories, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So it's like, once I knew, even beforehand, when we were starting to get to know each other, that I truly could count on her. Whatever lead I was giving, she treated it with the utmost importance. And that's why it was really important for me to do all the stuff moving forward in regards to stuff like this as well, because I know that nothing would be half-assed, to put it, that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And if some of you guys may not know this, but we are a franchise. So a franchise is just like a business. Some are franchise people and some are not. I chose to do a franchise because I've had good experience in franchises. They're smaller, so you can really kind of hone in on your team, build a good team, well organized, and we get the corporate support, which is really nice. But then again, we have other owners around us. We each have our territory. That's why, some of you will see me in the TCUs or hospitals, Sarah, or, our team. So we're kind of all over the place, but we do work together. So it's really nice to be able to just trust each other, that we can both help each other. And it is kind of nice. So there's nothing that I would say bad about a franchise. So
I agree.
Because
it really is nothing different.
Yeah. And a lot of people get it very confused with Sarah and I. So I just wanted to clear that up.
Yes. It's kind of like when somebody, are you what is the word when you're basically like an entity and they're all concerned, are you a corporation, or what is the other term in regards to,
nonprofit?
Yeah, nonprofit. Whereas even when I was in hospice, that was something that, it really is just a tax break. It has not a whole lot to do with them being a nonprofit, because it's like, I guarantee you they're definitely making a profit. Absolutely. And there's all kinds of shareholders and everything else from experience of working with, those hospices that were not a nonprofit or were a nonprofit. Like, there really isn't a huge difference.
No. So yeah, you'll see us out there. Sarah and I both own a territory. And so kind of, what we really want to get out of this, to break it down, we have all of our first 10 episodes. We're going to be either just talking amongst each other, or we're going to have guests on here. It's going to be very laid back. We really we're trying to be our true selves.
Yes.
And be authentic, because again, I feel like, my family they love that about me, that I can be authentic and like we can really, be the people who we are. So that's kind of what it's going to be, very laid back. We hope everyone can join us. And like we said, it'll get better as we go.
Yes. And I mean, kind of pivoting off of what Danelle had to say too, just to kind of reference some of the things that we were hoping to do on our next podcast, like bring our, staff on that work with us as well, our team, and then also doing kind of showcasing like, well, hey, what's the difference between independent living, assisted living, memory care, respite, also talking about home care and how we can, pull people in if need be, because as we both know really well at this point, there's sometimes, maybe a little bit less than a quarter of our clients are like, I'm not ready to go somewhere yet. So at that point, we might be making some recommendations for a home care or, again, kind of going back to that point that we were talking about earlier in regards to, there was this family recently that was talking about, we would like to talk to an estate planner or an estate attorney or elder law, etc. Or just knowing and hearing like, hey, I've got all this farmland, but I have no idea how to sell it.
Yeah.
Or I've got this house, and they might think like, well, that's not part of the spend down. How many times have we got caught in that conversation? And even kind of going into a little bit of, our process too, as well, because certainly we are a place for mom, and, we're proud of that, because it really, there's so many different things that sets us apart in that regard too, because I mean, we're digging into people's assets and trying to help them figure out like exactly what they can afford so that they're not moving again. Because that is legit the last thing we would ever want to do, is to have somebody move again.
Yeah.
And, kind of, I guess, touching upon like our vision for all as well, moving forward beyond, having some of these people on and showcasing, like realtors. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times, even just in a week, we're basically asking, hey, do you have a realtor? Well, I know someone. Here's who I'd recommend.
Yeah. It's just so many people, and it's nice to it's so many industries, and it's just nice to be able to, like, every industry is leading back to healthcare and what we can do. We're super excited to get moving. So our next episode, we are going to bring our team on and introduce you to those ladies. I have 2 on my team, soon to be 3. Sarah has 2. And I think even for us, Sarah and I, we want to hire the right people. So we want to hire the people that have that experience, social work, nurses, we want to make sure
terminology.
Yep. We want to make sure they're like the best. So that's cool.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, thanks everyone. If you made it this far, we love you.
Thank you so much. And we hope to see you guys tune into the next one.